you gorgeous people. Welcome to Emma's Happy List. This is episode, I'm gonna say 14. I think it's episode 14. Yeah, let's go with that. And I am joined by Alice, who is doing amazing things in the community and amazing things, especially for women. So we have a lovely chat. It's very suitable for the weather today, just to give it away a little bit. But let's dive straight in. Morning, Alice.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really, really good, thank you. And what are you up to at the moment?
Well, I'm currently working from home. I'm a social worker, so in lockdown I work from home, and it's a Sunday, so I'm just chilling today.
Yeah, absolutely. Sunday vibes. I'm not even wearing a bra. It's amazing.
Good. You wouldn't know.
So, shall we talk about, well, why don't you introduce yourself and then we'll go ahead and talk about how we know each other.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm Alice. I'm a social worker by profession, and I'm also a trustee, and I help to set up a charity called Swansea Takes on Period Poverty.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously Swansea based. And yeah, we kind of distribute products to people who can't afford them, and we also kind of are trying to destigmatize menstruation.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of create a conversation around it as well. So yeah, we do that on social media, and we're trying to, after lockdown, do it through workshops and things like that.
Yeah, it's super bizarre that there's so much stigma around it because it literally happens to half of the population once a month. When you think about those statistics, it's a bit like, why is that stigmatized? That's really bizarre.
No, it is. It's really sad actually. Like when you start to have conversations with people, I've had it like in all ages, like young girls, adults, older adults.
Yeah.
Some people who just feel very uncomfortable around talking about periods and
Yeah.
their bodies, and you kind of, and I find that quite potentially dangerous, really.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't talk about what menstruation is, then
Yeah.
you can't what's good or what's healthy and what's not, and when to get help if your body's showing signs of illness as well.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, I was really lucky, I think, when I was growing up because I had a very close group of female friends and we were very open with each other about absolutely everything. Like there was 5 of us all together and I don't know, there was just like no barriers. Like everything was spoken about. Everything was spoken about in like black and white as well. There was no sort of like, we just didn't hide things from each other. And as I've realized growing up that is like really not everybody's experience. Like not everybody had that sort of really supportive open conversation. And yeah, it still shocks me now when I have these conversations with people like women that they didn't have that support network and therefore they have like suppressed a lot of things and they've kept a lot of questions unanswered and also maybe built up a little bit of shame around those questions. Whereas me and my girlfriends, like even now, we're still really good mates and we're really good pals, and we are still as obscene as ever when it comes to anything. So, yeah, I consider myself really lucky about that. But why don't we tell everyone? So, in the name of women and girl power, why don't we tell everyone how you and I met?
So we were on a Girl Boss retreat, weren't we?
Yes.
And you were bottom bunk
Uh-huh.
in the retreat, and I was like, oh, can I sleep there? And so I slept top bunk, and that's how we met.
We were bunk buddies in like our late 20s. I'm assuming you're in late 20s too. Sorry if
Yes,
that's sorry if that's a bad assumption.
so yeah, no, I'm late 20s.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd be like bunking with women in my 20s, but there we go. That's what happened. But it was a great experience. And obviously you and I had quite a few chats because of that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, we got to know each other, didn't we?
And you nursed me when I got my migraine halfway through.
I did. I think I just sat with you and tried to feed you Haribo, but you didn't want any.
Oh yeah, I can't eat when I get a migraine. I can't eat very like anything. It makes me feel nauseous. So yeah, it's interesting though because when I look back and analyze why I've got that I know why I got that migraine, and it's because I'm quite a big empath, and during that weekend there was a lot of sharing and a lot of emotional sharing. And bearing in mind, like I said, I've had this group of friendship, like this friendship group since like the dawn of time, and we've been able to always share things, so things don't necessarily build up. But then that weekend was so emotional with so much like female energy and stuff, and I think I was just like overloaded.
Yeah, it took me days to get over that. Like,
Yeah.
and I stupidly didn't book a day off work the following day.
Yeah,
And
same.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And it was amazing. Like, I genuinely I learned loads about myself, and I thought like the whole female sharing and bonding
Mm,
it was really powerful.
yeah.
It was a really powerful experience.
Too
But
powerful for me, apparently. So that's really cool. And obviously since then I've started this podcast, and I've already spoken to Emily on this podcast, who started Girl Boss Club and organized the entire retreat. She has been amazing at getting the word out of like Emma's happy list with the girl bosses, including yourself. So I was really chuffed when you messaged, and we could make this happen. So tell me about your happy list. Did you have one already? Are you using it now? What's going on with it?
I didn't have one. Yes, I have started. It's been weird. I've been reluctant to write it down. I don't know what that says about me. It's taken me like a while to kind of like proper like think, right, no, I'm going to write it down. I got my book, but like initially I was like, oh, but yes, no, I have started. And I had the conversation because I told my mum that I was going to do this podcast last night, right? And my mum's not particularly like a development person. I'll probably listen to this now. I love you, mum. She's really into like personal development, personal growth stuff. But we were
Yeah.
having a conversation about like it. And it's really interesting concept. And she got really into it and like, oh, what does make me happy? What are the small things that make me smile? And it's a very interesting way of looking at life in a really extremely positive.
But it's super universal. That's what it is, because anyone can have one and anyone can refer to it. And like more than once now, I've had like conversations with people who sort of want to come on the podcast, but they're like, oh yeah, but what you've already spoken about what I want to speak, or like what makes me happy. And I'm just like, it's not that. Like, you can have a universal topic, but your story behind that will be different from everyone else's story behind it, which makes it even more sort of universal in a way, and it more like, you know, it will resonate with more people. So thank you for like chatting to your mum about it. I'm really glad it's resonating with her as well. Hopefully she'll start a happy list too. I haven't actually spoken to my own mum about this. Maybe I should have a little chat.
It's interesting to see what's on it, you know, like on what yeah, it was a very interesting conversation to have. I really liked it.
Yeah. So
definitely...
are you willing to share one item?
Yes. So the one that probably stuck out, and I was probably talking to my mum that made me realise the one, is so walking in the rain
yes.
is one of mine. And it's both a happy thing and it's become a coping strategy. So whenever like in my life I've had moments of not knowing what to do or quite difficult moments, I've always gone for a walk in the rain. Mm-hmm. And it can be torrential, it can be picky rain, any type of rain. And it seems to always help me.
Yeah.
And so I love it for that reason, because it's a coping strategy. But now I'm in a point in my life where I don't really need it as a coping strategy. And I love it because it reminds me of how my strength, I guess. And it reminds me of kind of where I've come from, you know, at times of...
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. I could resonate with that like a lot. Walking in the rain I feel like it's cleansing.
Yes, it is cleansing.
I mean, walks anyway, in general, walks are like really great for your mental health, really great for just like your body and everything, like all round. Walk more, like you can't go wrong if you walk more. However, there is something really special about walking in the rain, especially with like the chemical reactions make all the smells come out and like, or yeah, you get it?
Yeah, sensory. It's the smells and the sounds and even like the tastes, you know, like if you can get the hot rain, if it's in the summer, you get like misty kind of like it's all of it, isn't it? It's a very sensory experience.
Yeah, and do you think, so with that in mind then, when you were saying about a coping mechanism and stuff, do you think that because it's such a sensory sort of overload, it forces you to come back to like the present moment?
Yeah, I think it forces you to be mindful,
like
not to use a buzzword, but that's why when I was thinking about it, it does. And I think that's what I love about it, is it stops, it almost like quietens the noise. Mm-hmm. So that's when I've done, and I have like in my mind, there's specific walks that I've done at times in my life where I I know they were so therapeutic, and I needed them. And I can
Yeah.
remember the walks, and I can remember like where I did it, I can remember what level of rain it was. I can, I really can go back to that memory and really kind of almost be there in my mind. And I can remember the feelings of like starting that walk feeling really like anxious or really like depressed,
Mm.
and almost by the end of it having more hope.
Yeah, that's amazing. I bet you, right, there's people listening right now, and they themselves have gone back in time to like a time where they've been walking in the rain. I bet you it's like resonating with people that, and they're in that moment right now, like, oh yeah, that was a really pivotal moment. For me, whenever somebody talks about walking in the rain, like I always go back to like the same time in my life. So it was when I was in primary school, right? It's really like from way ago. But we used to walk to the bus stop every morning, and it was like, well, it must be like 200 meters away or something. It's not very far away, but when you've got little legs when you're a little kid, it seemed quite far away. But I remember always having like my raincoat up to like my nose, like way up here, so just my eyes could like come out, and my little hood up and stuff. And I remember like going through the puddles and stuff, and I don't know, it just feels like a really magical memory, like feeling safe, feeling sort of all wrapped up and like ready for the world and stuff, and on my way to school with my mum and my brother and things. So that it's a silly memory, but it's actually one of my really happy memories.
Like, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, like a little back when you're just a kid and like you feel really safe and you feel really sort of protected. And I laugh now as well, because when people say, oh, I don't want to go out for a walk, it's raining, I'm like, well, you've got a coat, you've got Wellingtons, put them on.
It's the best time to walk.
Yeah.
I don't really love walking in hot, like, or warm weather. I don't really like, raining's the best. And
Yeah.
I said this thing to my mum, and she was like, that's not a happy thing. But when you walk in, if you cry and walk in the rain, no one can tell you're crying. And that sounds depressing, but it's almost part of that cleansing thing.
Yeah, and you have like permission to just like release, like, because often if we're stopping ourselves from crying, it's because we're not giving ourselves permission to like let go.
Yeah.
Whereas letting go is like really one of the most beneficial things you can do for yourself. So on, I think it's episode 4 of this actual podcast, I did a meditation. It's only a 10-minute meditation, but the whole premise of meditation is like surrendering and letting go. And like afterwards, I do it all the time, like probably like 3 times a week I do that meditation. And after it, I feel such a weight lifted. But if you obviously don't let go and you don't release that, then it just builds up, and you get these like emotional blocks, and then you get pains in your body, and you're like, what is this pain? And it's because you're holding on to like this emotional thing that you're not letting go of. So yeah, I totally like release all of that energy, girl. If it's building up, ready to come out.
I love walking in the rain's the best. And also I find it less, I think I also feel that I can, some probably sounds silly, but if I sit and cry, I find that that's more depressing in my mind than walking and crying. I don't know if that is actually like, but for some reason, if I'm walking and crying in the rain, I just feel like that's okay. Like in my head, I feel calmer, and like this isn't, I don't know, I guess it helps me more than just sitting and crying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know where that comes from, but that's something I've always done.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like moments where I cry. I'm not really a crier in terms of like a sad crier. I'm a frustrated crier, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
yeah.
So like I cry when I'm really frustrated. Like if I go through something traumatic, I won't cry immediately, but like give me a few days when the frustration is really built and like things haven't changed, and then like I cry out of like pure anger and frustration. So but again, like if that's again holding on to like not surrendering, and not like, if something frustrating happens in my life, like rather than accepting it and sort of like I internalize it, which, and I'm like taking it as like a part of like, oh, this is against me type of thing. But I'm trying, I'm learning. I don't do that as much anymore.
Yeah, but it is all learning, isn't it? Like I think I definitely have learned more how to manage my emotions than
Yeah.
I did when I was younger, like, and I think hopefully in 10 years time I'll have learned even more. Do you know what I mean? Like the stuff I do now I won't hopefully do.
Well, you will. You will, because like you said earlier, like we are sort of investing in our personal development, in our growth. We are doing reading things that help us along with that journey. Excuse
Yeah.
me. So that's a really amazing input, like item on the happy list, and I'm sure I am like 100% sure that other people will have that on their list as well. I'm going to go ahead now and share one of mine. So we're recording this on a Sunday morning, as it is a Sunday morning. I'm not wearing a bra. I'm in my pajama t-shirt as well, like my comfiest t-shirt that I absolutely love. It's actually from Mexico. I think I got this t-shirt. But my one, and I'm guilty of this every single weekend, is lying in bed in the morning for way, 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 way longer than than is necessary. There's something about, so like when you wake up like early every day of the week, there's something about waking up early on a day that you don't need to do anything, and then rolling back over and like stretching out and going back to sleep and like do it. I can do that literally about 10 times in the morning. It's ridiculous. Are you a morning person yourself?
No, I know. Anyone who works with me will tell you no. No, I'm not a morning person.
I'm exactly the same. I come to life at night,
Yes.
and which is really frustrating in a like 9 to 5 world where sort of everybody wants you to be your best during the day. And then it's funny as well because the my friend who I live with, we are exactly the same. Like we'll kind of struggle through the day and we'd be like, oh, like I don't feel like this, I don't feel like doing that, and then come 8 o'clock in the night we're like, bam, let's do stuff, let's get shit done. So it's actually, it comes into your archetype. I think it's an archetype, or is it chronotype? Wait there, I'll have to do a quick Google. But essentially there are 4 types of sleepers or people. So you've got your lions, who are the early morning kind of people. Then you've got your bears, who are like the people that can rise and fall with the sun. Then you've got your wolves, who are like the nighttime guys. And then you've got your dolphins, who are the insomniacs.
Oh.
And I've done like numerous sort of like assessments and stuff, and every single time I fall into wolf. Which is really annoying though, because when all of the development books talk to you about like, oh, if you rise up early you get ahead of your competition, like if you get up at 5 o'clock, nobody else is awake and you get so much shit done and you can have your miracle morning and you can do this, that and the other. I'm like, if I wake up at 5 o'clock, I
Yeah.
literally am a zombie all day long.
No, I'm with you. I can't, like, yeah, it's just not, it's never going to happen for
Yeah,
me. Never, ever going to happen.
I'm in like I'd say probably like 3rd attempt of making it happen in my life. So I try and wake up like 6 o'clock in the morning all throughout the week, even though I don't have to be awake at 6. And I'm trying to make it happen for myself. It seems at such an acceptable time. Like internally, I'm like, what am I doing? This is ridiculous. But I'm trying so that, to see if I get these benefits that everyone
Okay.
is talking about. But what I'm finding is that literally by like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm like, do you know what? I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's I don't know. I'd be really interested if there's anyone listening that can give me some hints and tips on how to sort of not get the. I don't know if it's just a mental block, if it's just literally a mental restriction that I'm putting on myself. Like, oh, if I wake up early, I'm gonna be tired at the end of the day, type of thing.
Mm.
But when left to my own devices, say if you don't have to for 2 weeks or whatever, like when you've been on holiday, you don't have to be anywhere, you don't have to get up for anything or whatever. My natural sort of like my natural pattern is definitely more like towards, I come to life like later on in the day. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm the same. Like I was up till like 2 last night, just like doing different things, and yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't feel tired now. Like
And
I
my
woke up.
question is, so what's the difference between like getting up at 5 a.m. or going to bed at 2? Do you know what I mean? Like if it just, it's the same amount of hours, is it just the amount of hours? Like I don't know. Everyone just puts so much emphasis on the morning,
Yeah.
whereas what's the difference if you stay up late or instead?
Yeah, I've never really got why people are so I don't know, people are probably like, but I've never got people focus on waking up in the morning, like early in the morning. Like, why does that make you more productive? Like, to me, it doesn't. I'm quite a productive person, I'd say, but
Yeah.
I don't, waking up in the morning is just, I don't, my brain, honestly, in work, I would say my brain doesn't properly start working till about 10:30, 11. So I find like buffer things to do. So I'll like do my emails or I'll catch up.
Yeah.
So I'll find buffer things to do that I'm still working, but it doesn't take a lot of like brain power,
Yeah.
because until 11 I can't, like, and I try not to schedule meetings before then because my brain genuinely doesn't work. Like it's
Yeah.
not, almost like, you know, like a computer turning on, like a buffering time,
Yeah.
like that, you know, you've got that, like, I don't know, where it kind of like loads type of thing.
Like before we had Wi-Fi and we had to dial up to the
Yeah,
internet, like you're in the dial-up phase.
I'm in the until 11 a.m. Like I'm in the dial-up phase.
Yeah.
And then when I was in uni, my flatmates used to joke because they would have these like birthday breakfasts. So for the people who like we lived with, they'd like
Yeah.
do a breakfast always at like 7:30 in the morning, right? I don't know why they did
Oh.
this, but anyway, so I didn't want to be rude, so I would go, but I'd literally sit there and I'd just sit in the corner, like just not speaking, and I
Yeah.
wasn't going to be rude, and they'd just laugh at me. But because I just can't, it's not me, it's
Yeah.
never me. And I don't, to be honest, I don't even try to be a morning person. I'm like, you know what, that's just not me. I'm happy with who I am.
Yeah. Do you know another thing as well though? You were just saying about like eating and breakfast and stuff. I don't eat breakfast either. Like I'm not even ready. Like my brain isn't ready and my body isn't ready for anything either. So some people wake up and they're absolutely ravenous for like, and they need breakfast immediately. I am not that person. I can go probably until about like 3 o'clock in the afternoon without eating anything, and then I'm like, oh, I'm hungry.
Sometimes, yeah, I know what you mean. Like I think that also depends on my cycle. I find like with my periods, like I'm far more hungry when coming up to my period, and then when I'm on my period, I don't want to eat anything. And so
Yeah.
I, based on my cycle as well, that'll change.
Oh, I've not done in-depth analysis, but I'm probably the same. Like I do have like weeks where I'm just like, oh, I need as much food as possible. But again, I never really wake up hungry. Like I know people do wake up hungry, but I actually, it's probably a bit like a blessing for me because it means that I accidentally do intermittent fasting, which is obviously really good for your digestion. So I'm not doing it on purpose, but I don't eat for like hours on end. But yeah, that's it works for me, and it means that people usually get the best of me in the afternoons, which is like the afternoons, evening time. So if you want anything from me, that's when you need to come see me.
No, I agree completely. I'm not, and like I find, you know, you're talking about in 9 to 5. I find
Mm,
that difficult as well. I struggle because I'm not. It's just not my. It's not how my brain, my body works. It's
yeah.
just, and I sometimes feel like I'm fighting myself to try and get myself to be productive during those hours. Whereas like I'm far more productive, I would say, like going on to 9 p.m. So like from like 2 to 9 p.m. That's probably my productive time.
Yeah. We
My
had
day.
to so last October, I think I've mentioned this before, I went to a personal development conference over in Istanbul, and we had to do like an activity where we basically had to map out the perfect day, like what the perfect day looks for us. And like with no restrictions, so you don't have to be anywhere. You could literally, that day is yours to do as you want. And the idea is you want to work towards having as many of those days as possible. And yeah, literally mine was like waking up at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, having like a little stretch in the morning, um having a little coffee, maybe just like a bit of quiet time, and then strapping on. So like obviously in my head I was in the mountains snowboarding because that's where I want to be. um and then I was like, yeah, going out actually to the mountain, but not first, like some people go for first lifts. They have to be there for like 8 o'clock or whatever so that they can have first tracks. I am not that person. It's often icy in the morning. Like I'd rather people like chop it up a little bit so then I can go out and play when it's a bit softer and stuff. And then having a lovely lunch, so like a late lunch. So going up, say for example, at 10 o'clock to the mountain, going for like 2 hours or 3 hours on my board, having a lot of fun, working up an appetite, having like a really long lunch with like your pals. Well, not long, maybe like an hour long lunch with your pals and a beer. Then finishing off the day, like coming down and doing a sunset ski or sunset snowboard. Having more beer, like the beer featured quite a lot in mine.
Yeah, that sounds lovely. Do you know what, that sounds very relaxing.
Yeah, this is why people love like snowboarding and skiing. It's not because they can get activities, it's all the beer. It's like
But
the
it doesn't
permission to drink all day but also be active. So
get healthy.
the perfect balance. But yeah, and then in the evenings, actually doing stuff that I'm passionate about. So like my work time, if you like, is the evening time, whereas in the daytime, I'm doing things that don't really require a lot of mental effort from me, but require like my physical effort. So by the nighttime, my brain is like, wow, let's go. Like, I'm focusing on like business, like stuff with my business and like my passion projects and stuff like that. So that was my perfect day. Have you got like an idea in your head? Not to put you on the spot, you don't have to share at all, but
Perfect day. Oh,
mm.
my perfect day. Probably be more boring than yours in the in the sense that I'm a bit more of a homebody. So I'm not as adventurous as you. So it would probably be like, yeah, like sleeping until like 10, 11 with my husband and my dog, and we all
Beautiful.
sleep, and that's just really like when I wake up in the morning on a weekend, and it's just my husband, my dog, and me, and there's just peace. That's my happy place,
Mm-hmm.
my ultimate happy place. And then yeah, probably like wake up, and then it would be to have like, I love like pain au chocolat, or like pastries. So
Yeah.
anything for breakfast, have pastries, or maybe some hot chocolate, or a really strong cup of tea. That
Yeah.
would be, so that's, and then it'd probably be like then my mum, going to see my mum and chilling. My mum's my best friend. I'm an only child, and me and her are just really close. So probably taking my dog and my husband to my parents and being with their dog, and like having a barbecue. So
Yeah.
this would be in the afternoon, mid-afternoon, and then probably like my grandparents coming over and
Mm-hmm.
just chilling. I think that would probably be my perfect
And then a
day.
storm rolling in and you could go walking in the rain.
Yeah, it's all going for a walk. My dog, perfect dog for me. My dog Bertie, he loves walking in the rain. He
Yeah, my
loves.
dog has no preference. My dog is literally just like, did you say the walk word? Did you say walk?
Yeah,
He's
that's my
so
dog.
excitable. Like it doesn't matter if it's snowing, if it's raining, if it's like, and all like he's a husky, so like I don't take him out in the like baking hot sun. But if you said to him and it was like boiling hot and he was literally like panting his head off like on the kitchen floor, you feel like walk, he would still probably jump up and yeah, he's adorable.
He's lovely. And they've got like a really lovely like bark, haven't they? Like, isn't it like it's quite a deep, like, is that, am I speaking right?
Yeah, so actually, so Diego, my dog, he he's a husky, but he doesn't like loads of huskies are really vocal, and but he's not that vocal at all, except for when he's hungry. And then he'll come up to you and he'd literally be like, harumph, like it is dinner time. And he'll do his little I don't know, they're not barks, like they like he speaks to you.
Yeah, I've heard huskies. We've got a husky who lives close to us, and it's
Mm.
it's a very like, it's a beautiful sound. Like when they
Yeah.
make a noise, I'm like, oh, it's
So
so cool.
so I've not heard him howl that much, right? He barely ever howls like properly. So he howled when he was a puppy, and when we first had him, and we made him like sleep downstairs, and he was howling then. But he's not really howled since, except for this one time when it was like honestly, it was like 101 Dalmatians. There was like loads of dogs in the neighborhood barking. And you could see he was like he's got like a little hole in the gate for his head. It's so funny. He was like here listening through the hole, and then he would just like let out this almighty howl, and I was like, is that Diego? That's Diego. Like we went out and looked, and you could hear like all of the like conversations with all the dogs in the neighborhood. I was like, 101 Dalmatians, Cruella Deville's got the Dalmatians. So yeah, he's a glorious creature. He's the best creature ever, and he's probably an entire episode of Emma's Happy List on his own, to be fair.
Yeah, I could have an entire episode on my dog as well. Bertie.
So, with that in mind, then, so where can people find you if they want to obviously find out what you're doing for your, is it a charity, did you say? Or is it, yeah.
Yes, I'm a trustee for Swansea Takes on Period Poverty. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We are STOPP, Swansea Takes on Period Poverty. Yeah, please like look at us. If you need any help, or you know anyone who needs help with products, we are still delivering in lockdown. But we please come and engage with us, because we just, yeah.
It's really amazing, and I just want to say for the entire like sisterhood, thank you for doing what you do, because you know, without people like you doing what you do and caring and like putting that foot forward, then, you know, we don't know how many people would be struggling, or how many more people would be struggling if that's the case.
We've like, it's nearly, I think, nearly 200 backpacks of products we've delivered in lockdown. Like
Yeah.
a lot of products that we surprise ourselves, I think, that
Yeah.
people need that. And it's great to do. Like it's a joy, to be honest. Like I don't mind going delivering at all. You know, yeah, it's a joy. It's something I really enjoy doing.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And also thank you for sharing your time with me this morning. So I know your Sundays are very precious. So with your dog and your husband. So thank you for that as well. And well, hopefully we'll see each other soon after all of this. We'll go back to Girl Boss Club and yeah, we'll have another chat then. So for now, bye. Take care.
Sunday.